Hi guys, it's Sam here today, and today we're gonna continue the eyeshadow palette collection series that I'm doing right now. And we're gonna start off with some ColourPop, but if you are new to my channel, I just want to say hi. My name is Sam. I'm a makeup enthusiast. I do a lot of beauty content, and makeup is my therapy. If you feel the same way, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps my channel out. And without further ado, let's get started. My nails are they're done. I've been practicing doing polygel on myself, so they're not perfect. This one I cut it and it chipped crazy, so whatever. But yeah, so don't mind my nails being a little wonky. But we also have the Star Wars palette. This one I actually really love, and I have the whole cardstock because I love how even the inside of the cardstock, it has decor in it. And this is the back of the palette, and this is the inside of the palette. I have used this palette, but I just like to keep it pristine because I love Star Wars and all of that as well. This is the ColourPop and the Last Airbender Avatar collab, and this is just really beautiful. This is probably the first palette I got from them that had a sleeve like this, and I just love it. And the style of the palette itself is different from the sleeve, unlike the Harry Potter one, which the whole thing is the same. And I love this palette. I did a video with this palette last year, and it was my all-time favorite look, one of them from that year. And yeah, I love this palette, so good. This is the Lust for Dust palette, and this one got me into neutrals. It was one of the first palettes that I picked up that had a lot of neutral tones in it, cooler tones, and it really quickly became a favorite. This is the ColourPop Truly Madly Deeply, and of course I was a Savage Garden back in the day. I know I'm dating myself, but it is what it is. And so when I saw this palette, of course I had to pick it up. It does have a pressed glitter there that I haven't used. I've swatched it. This is a pressed glitter in this one as well. But the other shades are really beautiful, and yeah, Truly Madly Deeply, I love this. Then we have the Fade Into Hue palette, and to be honest, I don't even know if I've used this ever. I picked it up. ColourPop had, I have a thing where with ColourPop where I want to go to the site and pick up one thing, and then I end up adding a bunch of stuff in there, and then I just don't always revisit things. And this is a palette that I picked up, I added to the cart, and I don't think I've really played with. Most of these big ones I would say is that kind of scenario. This is the Golden palette. This did have a shade that broke, and I repressed it in there. I've used this one actually a little bit, like this shade Salty and this shade Daydreamer I really enjoy, but I haven't used it too much. The Rock Candy palette, this one I've used a little bit, not too crazy much, because I do tend to reach for the smaller palettes, but this is a beautiful palette as well. I really think this is beautiful. And then the It's a Mood palette. This one I think I've used too, just like once or twice, but I really picked up the palette because it has like all these beautiful fall tones that I really enjoy. But I always end up getting the new, and then I forget about palettes like this. I really do want to play with this some more. Some palettes that I don't really love from ColourPop that I kind of had in a side pile. It's the Wannabe palette from ColourPop, and this is a very neutral palette. It's decent. It's just that I really prefer the Star Wars palette to this one. The one with C-3PO, that one I prefer over this one, but this is okay. Then also the Soulfly palette from ColourPop. This was part of the same collection, and this is what this one looks like. I think I did a video doing this. It came out good. I like it, but I don't love it, so that's kind of why it's on the side pile. The ColourPop On The List palette. This one I had in my cart forever in Ulta. I kept putting it in the cart, putting it out of the cart, taking it out, putting it in, doing all that. And eventually I did pick it up. I do think this is a pretty palette, but it is very neutral. This shade right here is absolutely beautiful, but it's just, I just don't tend to reach for this very much. This is the ColourPop All Amethyst palette. This was one of my least favorite palettes of last year as well. It's cute, but it just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't perform. I think the mattes are just a little too hard pressed for me personally, and the shimmers were kind of dry. So not my favorite. Some more other random palettes here. We have the Barbie ColourPop Malibu Barbie palette. And I loved this palette. I did a really cute look with this palette in a video. And I just love the colors in here. I think it's really perfect with the theme. And yeah, I enjoy this a lot. This is the Clay It Cool palette. And this is kind of a dupe for one of the Patrick Ta Major Dimensions palette. And I really love this palette. I used this a lot when I got it. I did pick it up late. Yeah, I use this a lot for like everyday stuff. I definitely think if you love neutrals, this is a great one to have. It's very simple and effective. Then we have the ColourPop Winnie the Pooh Sweet as Can Be palette. I kept this like whole packaging because I'm a big fan of Winnie the Pooh. I loved Winnie the Pooh when I was a little kid, and yeah, it just makes me really, really happy to have this palette. I will say that the color story is gorgeous in here, but the overall formula was not my favorite. I think it was definitely better than the All Amethyst and some of the other ones, but this just wasn't my absolute favorite. I felt like it could have used a little bit more pigment when it came to the mattes, and the shimmers were, I don't know, they just weren't as creamy as I would have liked them, but they weren't completely dry. It was somewhere in the middle. You know, the formula was just not perfect. I feel like they did a lot better job with all the Star Wars ones. Like the formula in those palettes is definitely improved quality comparative to this one anyway. Then we have the Hocus Pocus Gather Around Sisters. This is another one that I have in the packaging. As you can see, it's just super cool the way that they really think of all the little details. So sometimes I do keep the sleeves or the little jackets on them. And this is what she looks like. This is the first one they did because they've done one every year for the last 3 years. But this is the color story that I love the most, and the packaging I like the most. I don't love the super kitschy cartoon bright primary color kind of ones they've done more recently. So I haven't picked those one up. So I'm just enjoying having this one. I haven't touched it. This was more like me wanting to keep something to collect. Then we have the Limoncello palette. This one is absolutely stunning. I love the overall packaging on this, and the formula is super good. The color story is super, super nice. It is that very neutral with a pop of blue and a pop of green. I know it looks kind of yellow. I don't want to swatch too much, but this is definitely like a lime green. I don't know if you can see that. It's super, super beautiful. And again, the quality in this is stunning. All right, so I have a bunch of these like 12 pan ones. This is the Off Melrose palette. Love this palette. Neutral, grungy, beautiful, cool tone. Absolutely love this. It does have a pressed glitter that I'm not crazy about, but the rest of this is perfection. This is one of my all-time favorites from ColourPop. It's the Good Sport. I mean, look at that color story. Absolutely beautiful. This is probably what I would think is the closest thing to the ABH Subculture palette. And I really wish they would just bring this back already. Then we have the Boudoir Noir palette. This was one that I lusted over for a super long time and then finally gave in and picked it up. Color story is beautiful, greens, olives, just like very beautiful and soft, sophisticated, but colorful at the same time. Then we have the Gimme Butterflies. This is the pink one. This is out of a series. I have the other two somewhere in this pile, but this is like their pink one. This has 2 pressed glitters that I don't use, but I do get a lot of use out of this palette in the springtime. This is the Butter Me Up. It's the purple one. There's a hair in there. This is more cool tone purple palette version of this little trio, and I just love the packaging on all of these. They just look super cute. This one is the Flutter. This is the orange one. This is like very bright too. It's not like a soft peach or anything like that. This is great for the summertime. I love these, but again, pressed glitters, that's the only thing I hate about those. This is the Whatever palette. Super, super cute, perfect fall palette. I really wish they would stop putting pressed glitters, but I do know that there's people out there that like them. The overall palette is gorgeous. Formula is really great. Same with the California Love palette. This is like your neutrals, browns. Every time I look at these palettes, I think to myself, like, do I really need any more? Because they really do provide like all the basic color stories that you need. This is one of my oldest palettes from ColourPop. It's the Give It To Me Straight palette. And this is again another neutral palette. Kind of reminds me of like the ABH Modern Renaissance, that kind of situation, which seems to be really popular now. Everything old comes back around. So this is a color story that I think people would want to use this year. This is the Sweet Talk palette. And oh, this is the perfect springtime palette. Love, love, love this. I lean more towards the peaches than the pinks for springtime, so this is like great. But when you have this one and this Gimme Butterflies palette, like these are like the only ones I really need when it comes to springtime. Like I love these colors right here, especially this winged. Oh, stunning. All right, here is the Lush Life palette. This is one of the best colorful palettes that ColourPop has ever done, and I think this kind of, to me, reminds me a little of the Avatar palette, but more tropical. I just love, love, love this so much. We have the Bye Bye Birdie palette. I think this was part of a collection and there were other ones, but I only picked up this one. And look at the packaging, super, super cute and beautiful. And inside is very purple and, you know, vibrant color, but also again with neutrals. I mean, that's what ColourPop does, is a lot of neutrals. So I think this is like a perfect middle ground. And look at that packaging, so pretty. We have the Cabana Club palette, and again, they kill it with the packaging, they kill it with the color story. I mean, this is a colorful palette, but it's also still very approachable. I've only used this once, so I can't really say like it's the best quality, but from my experience, it was very decent. So, you know, I think if you're interested in this and they're still having it available, pick it up for sure. And then again, this is one of my older palettes. I think this packaging is also very beautiful too. Like, I love the simplicity of it. This is the Femme Rosa She palette from Carucci and ColourPop. This is more boring, and to be honest, it reminds me of the Give It To Me Straight palette. Like, you know how when Sydney Grace does like the light version and this dark version of palettes, this kind of reminds me of that. Like, this is the light skin version, this is the darker one. They are very similar, but I still really enjoy them both. All right, so we have a bunch of 9 p.m. palettes here. We're going to start with the Frozen 2 palettes. Let's start with Elsa, since she's the main character. And these are amazing, amazing palettes. I really wish that they did not keep things out of stock, because this one I think should always be in stock. It's absolutely beautiful. And you know, I would love to do a video using this, but I feel like nobody can really get it. This is a pressed glitter here in the center, but it's a really gorgeous palette. And then the same with this one. This is the Anna palette, and this is like that gorgeous fall tone one. And the quality in these are really, really good. It's just the fact that you can't really get them. And the packaging is super nice. Like, they really thought of all the details. I don't know if you can really see, but there's like printed patterns on here that are similar to what the dresses had in the film. And yeah, super cute. Then we have the Bouquet palette. I love this palette. It is dark, grungy blue beauty. That's what it is. I'm obsessed with this palette. I think it's one of my favorite ColourPop palettes. Then we have the New York NYX. This is a new palette to me. I don't I haven't used this that I can think of. No, this is brand new to me. So I picked this up when it was on sale, and yeah, I thought it was a really good orange and blue palette, and I was excited to use it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. The On the Limelight palette. This is a okay palette for me. I wanted to like this so much more. The shimmers are absolutely stunning. My problems is that these mattes are all pretty much mid-tones, and I really want them to be like at least have one or two darker shades, but they're all pretty much the same tone on my skin. So it doesn't give me the depth that I really want. Then we have the Quartz palette of Quartz palettes. I love this. I do feel like the shimmers in here a little dry, but overall I still think that the mattes are gorgeous and they're still beautiful shimmers. They're just a little bit on the drier side, but I do really enjoy this palette a lot. Then this is the Glow Getter palette. This was part of that bug collection that they had last year, and this one is my favorite of the three. I know that it's very light, but I do really enjoy the shimmers in here. They're just a little bit creamier than the other ones, but as you can see, they're not very impactful, and the mattes are a little bit more blendable in here. But you can see even this black looks a little like more of a charcoal. It does leave something to be desired, but I do find that this one's a little bit better than the other two. The By the Rose palette, I feel like this is a popular one for them because it's really is truly those pinks and berries that everybody is obsessed with. And yeah, it's cute. I just feel like it's a little boring at this point because we've seen this color story so many times, not just with ColourPop, but in general. Then we have the Chicago Bulls palette. I really enjoy this palette. I think it's a great red palette, and I love that it has this 773 shade. It's like this chocolatey pewter. I am obsessed. I'm obsessed with that shade. And this burgundy is just so stunning. All right, so this is the Tinkerbell. And again, I've kept the cardstock because I just think it's so stunning. And yeah, the packaging is brilliant on this. It does have a mirror, and this is what the color story looks like. If you were looking for a green palette, I highly recommend this one, especially over the Limelight, which I don't even think they offer anymore. But the formula in this is just way better. The mattes are pigmented, and the shimmers are like creamy and apply beautiful. They have a really good metallic sheen to them, and yeah, I like this one a lot. All right, let's talk about these few. This is the That's Taupe palette. This is probably my favorite cool tone palette from ColourPop. I like this one better than the Off Quartz one. I just think that the colors are just really spot on the tones and the shades, and the formula is really good in this palette. Also, I'm a big fan of animal print, so this like snake skin pattern on here is everything. This is the High Tide palette. This is their teal colored palette, and I love this. I think it's really fun and beautiful. It does say summer, but at the same time, I feel like it also says fall. It's just really cool. And then we have my Star Wars palette. So I am a fanatic, and I purchased two of these when they first came out because I wanted to have like one untouched, and then I told myself I was ridiculous, so I did not do the same when I got the other Star Wars ones. But this is the Child's palette, and this has a mirror in it, and it's just super cute. The color story is absolutely beautiful. If you love greens, this is chef's kiss, really. Not just because of the packaging. If you were just looking at the color story itself, absolutely beautiful. Then we have the Mandalorian palette, which is again another beautiful palette. This is really beautiful for fall. This mustard yellow here is like to die for, and Clan of Two, absolutely beautiful. Just love this so much. Then came the Darth Vader one. And this one really surprised me. When I did the video doing a look with this, I was just shocked with how much I was falling in love with these tones so much. And it doesn't hurt that it has Darth Vader on it. Then we have the C-3PO, and oh my god, they just kill it sometimes with the packaging. This is definitely just absolutely beautiful in my book, and the quality of the shadows in here are stunning. I don't even really love golds that much, but these golds look so beautiful, and when I put them on, I was like, oh, that's why people wear gold. It's just so pretty. Then I have a bunch of these with the hard packaging. I actually don't really love this packaging very much, but here we are. I've collected a ton of them. This is the wine only one. Beautiful dark reds. I absolutely love this. The quality is really good and highly recommend. I love this Or Kid You Not palette. One of the reasons why I hate these palettes so much is why I have this thing still in here is the fact that these pans will friggin' pop out. They do not stay put in this packaging. So as nice as it looks aesthetically, the functionality of these are pretty poor. So this color story again strikes me. I love it so much. The only shade that I'm kind of sick of is this one here, and it's not even has anything to do with ColourPop. It's just that every like brand has one of these. This reminds me of that new Charlotte Tilbury Pop Shot. I didn't get the one in this shade because literally I feel like I have this a million times over. But yeah, love it very much. This is another one I like, is the Wild Child. I like the deeper palettes, the palettes with the more rich colors in it. And this is definitely one of my favorites. You can tell I get good use out of it. This is the Lucky Penny. I don't think I've used this one. Maybe I have once. Yeah, I've definitely used this, but it hasn't left an imprint in my memory, so I can't really speak too much. I'm assuming that it's pretty similar to the other ones. The quality in these are pretty good. As you can see, they're not you're kind of not going to get anything wrong with these palettes. I haven't found one that had poor quality besides the pastel ones. This is the Mar palette. This was probably the first one they did in this packaging and in this 9 p.m. format here. Love this. This is pretty much the epitome of the orange and blue palettes that I want in life. I haven't seen one that's better put together than this one. If you can get your hands on it, highly recommend. I think they might still have it. It just has different packaging. I think it's white now. This is the Blue Moon palette. Every time I think I want to get rid of one of these monochromatic palettes, I use it and the shadows themselves perform so well. So as you can see though here, the shades are like kind of popping out. They don't stay put. So that's pretty annoying, but the quality on all of these again are really good. This is the It's My Pleasure. I feel like this shade is, it's not exactly the same, but it's pretty similar to this one. Maybe they are exactly the same, but you see what I mean? You kind of don't need every palette. So this is the Orange You Glad. This is probably the only orange palette that I really love. I do like other orange palettes that I have, but this is the one that I really love, that when I think of an orange eyeshadow, I reach for this one. This is the Ooh La La palette. This is probably my least favorite monochromatic palette from them that I have, just because I'm kind of tired of these shades. The palette performs perfectly. It has this Super Shock shade here that's really nice. I just am bored of it, to be honest. And then the last one in this packaging I have is the Main Squeeze, and this is like reds pretty much. And yeah, I love it. It works really well. Again, the quality on all of these are really good. I just hate this packaging. I really wish they would just stick with the cardboard one, because it's a lot more reliable as far as like breaking or anything like that. So in the drawer where I keep those ColourPop palettes, I have some other random ones in there, so we're just gonna go right into those. This is the Revolution. I had to like read it because they have so many variations of Revolution, but this is the Revolution Harley Quinn palette, and this is one of the few Revolution type palettes that I've held on to because the quality is quite decent in here. I do get creasing with these shimmer shadows, but they just look so beautiful on the eye that it's definitely worth keeping, and the mattes actually work and show up really well on my complexion. I have like a medium, sometimes medium tan complexion. In the summer, I'm definitely more of a tan. So yeah, this is a gorgeous palette from Revolution. I don't think it's available anymore, but sometimes stuff like this pops up. When I do see that they have 9 pans in this kind of cardboard packaging like this, I do kind of get tempted. One of the things that I hate about these palettes though is that they don't put the names of the shadows inside. So I've taped the little thing on the back so that I know what shades are in here. This is some palettes I have from what was Musée Beauty, and then they were K-Love Beauty, and I think they have now gone out of business, but I do really enjoy these palettes, so I do want to keep them. This is the Van Gogh palette, and this is what she looks like. It's a really beautiful fall tone palette. My only complaint about their packaging really is that it's a little bulky, but overall it's really cute. This is the Honore palette, and I just love the artwork on here and the inspiration on these shadows. They're really beautiful. I think that that's like a really surefire way to get like gorgeous color stories, and it makes me sad that they are no longer. This is the Triumph of Venus palette, and this is what this one looks like. I love it so much. It's so beautiful. I also have this little set of I Heart Revolution with Dr. Seuss. I love this. I haven't used this. This is more like me collecting, and it kind of looks like a box book set, and that's why I love it. And we have a bunch of palettes in here. A couple of them are eyeshadow palettes and a couple of them are face palettes. We're going to go through them all, but just so you're aware, not all of them are eyeshadow. This is the One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish. And this is what she looks like. This is the Green Eggs and Ham. This is the Cat in the Hat palette. Oof. This is the Fox and Socks palette. And this is a face. This is All the Places You'll Go. And this has a very pretty springtime color story to it. And the last one in this set is Horton Hears a Who. And let's open this up. And again, that's another face product. All right, I decided I'm gonna tack on my BH Cosmetics in this video as well. So this is the Naughty palette they did a couple years ago. Last year I did a kind of like a panning project with this one. Obviously I didn't pan anything, but I did get a lot of use out of this palette. I used it for the entire month of December for I think 2021, and this came out in 2020. I think this is a great palette. It's just a big palette, and yeah, the formula is absolutely spectacular in this. This is their Christmas palette from 2021. This is the Mrs. Claus Santa's Daughters Here to Slay, the Lit List. And a lot of people were comparing the two when it came out to see like if you had the previous one, if you needed the newer one. Honestly, I think I did a video just dedicated to that idea, and I think that they are different enough. There obviously are similarities between the two, but the colors in here are a little bit more vibrant and primary color type, and then these are a little bit more they have a different variation in undertone, so they're not exact replicas of each other. They're similar enough that you could maybe justify if you didn't like that many greens, and you prefer more like purples and that coral colors and stuff. But yeah, I enjoy both of these. These are great palettes, great quality. Love them very much. I have several of these birthstone palettes. So this is the garnet one. Really pretty red color. Then we have the aquamarine for March. The diamond palette. This one is closer up in the rank for me. I like this one a little bit better than some of the others, as well as this one. This is the emerald palette. I think it's quite obvious why though. The grungy colors get me every time. This is the opal palette. I like this, not my favorite. The sapphire one I do really enjoy. I think this is an interesting color story. And then the turquoise one as well. This is a great summer one, springtime as well. Then we have the ice cream shoppy collection. This is the pistachio. Get it out of the sleeve. It's been a long while since I've touched these, but I just don't have the heart to get rid of them because they're still great palettes, and I tell myself that eventually I'm going to use them. Also, I just like to have. This is the cherry on top, which is the red pink one. This is the cotton candy. Really, really pretty. This is the blueberry gum palette. This is one of my favorite out of the bunch. Orange sorbet. Really love this palette too. And then the sugar cone one, which is the all neutral brown ones, but just so pretty. All right, these are the I have some of the breakfast ones in the travel series in here as well. So let's start with the breakfast one. This is the blueberry muffin palette. Super popular. I think this is the one that really made everybody pay attention to the brand, even though I think they were quite good before this. I think people just didn't realize. This is the avocado toast, and this came out after the blueberry muffin one. The travel series came out before the breakfast ones. This is the Smitten in Switzerland palette. Really pretty neutrals, but still colorful. The Los Angeles one. Gorgeous pastel palette, perfect for springtime. Saint Tropez. This was the one that really got me in love with them again. Just love the shades in here. Very easy to work with, and I wore this to work a lot. I felt like I was wearing color, but still feeling like it was neutral enough to not, you know, be a distraction. The Puerto Rico palette is probably my least favorite, but I'm Puerto Rican, so I have to keep it. I just think this color story is boring. I wish it looked more like the skirt here than what it does, but it's okay. And then this is the Paris one. And this is pretty too, but I just find like these tones are not colors I reach for. I'm more apt to use the blues in here and the purples, and I'm not even into those colors that much, but this is a good palette. It's just not my favorite color story. And I forgot what the name of this series was, but this is the Low Key Love You palette. This is the F Off palette. This is the Let That Shit Go palette. This is Looking Like a Snack, and the Do Not Disturb palette. These are all really good quality palettes. I love them. I can't wait for BH to have a real comeback. This is the Romantic Nomad palette. I think I got this like as a freebie or something like that. I can't remember. The packaging is super cute. I kept the sleeve on it, but I haven't used it. This has like, this reminds me of the old BH Cosmetics with the tiny little pans. Very pretty color story. I just need to make time to use it. I was like thinking in my head, oh, this would be good for like travel, but I just haven't gotten around to it. But I don't travel very much either, so that's probably part of the problem. These were like, I don't know, it was like a Halloween-ish theme or whatever. This is the Ghost Pepper one. The quality on these are really good as well. I don't think they got much attention. This is the Nightshade. Again, this is like another one of those shadows that reminds me of that Charlotte Tilbury, and why I didn't pick that up. The Sub-Zero palette. The Absinthe palette. Really, really fun colors. I love this one right here. and then the Venom palette. And this one I really love. I didn't think I would love it, but I fell in love with this palette. And then the last one in this drawer is the 80s Remix. This is one that I picked up kind of recently. I would say in the last like 4 months, but I haven't gotten to use it. And it's a very colorful palette. It has 3 shimmers in the middle, and then all the rest are mattes. If you're curious, I have these like acrylic drawers that I keep some of my palettes in, and then I have bins that are like this that are not drawers that I keep palettes in on a bookshelf. So far I've showed you 2 of these bigger drawers, and then with the smaller palettes, those are kind of stored separate. But in this video I've showed you both the drawers. So that is going to be the end of this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully you don't hear my kids screaming too much in the background. It's dinner time. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. And until next time, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Love you. Bye.